Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and today we're looking at the top 10 Benchmade knives that you can get right now in 2020. Let's check them out. Benchmade is one of those quintessential modern knife companies. They're based here in the USA, and although they've flirted with outsourcing some of their manufacturing overseas in the past, all of their lineup is American made today. Now when talking about Benchmade, there's no getting around the Axis lock. This ambidextrous crossbar lock was originally invented by Bill McHenry and Jason Williams, and they originally licensed it to Benchmade, and it has become a core element of their lineup. Now, although they've no longer got the exclusive on the patent anymore today, Benchmade is still the lock that everyone else is chasing, and their success with the Axis lock is undeniable. Now, to show the Axis lock and to start the list, the obvious choice would definitely be the Griptilian. It's a fantastic knife, and it's been sort of a workhorse backbone of the lineup for years, but I'm actually going to leave it off this list. Instead, we're going with the Presidio II with CF Elite handle scales because, in my opinion, this is actually the best Griptilian you can get today. Now I say that because a lot of the things that make the Griptilian work so well even today can be found on this knife. I also love the new handle materials, and the blade shape is even more up my alley. And they're only slightly more expensive too. This one right here I'm holding is only $131.75 for the full size, and that's just a little bit higher than the full size standard Griptilians. Now this knife is a little bit heavier than the Griptilian, but it feels heavier duty as a result too. We've got full liners, skeletonized a little bit, that ride underneath the CF Elite handle material. Now this is basically a nylon that uses carbon fiber as a reinforcing material. So rather than GRN or glass reinforced nylon, we actually have carbon fiber reinforced nylon. This material manages to be both lighter and stronger at the same time. And the color's pretty cool too. It's black, but not quite. It's kind of got a graphite shimmer to it that looks very nice. Now, like the Griptilian, it also has a very neutral shape to the handle, which makes it a really good option for lots of different hand sizes. It's not prescriptive, and it's not going to pinch your grip at all. The blade is S30V, and the small Presidio sits in between the large and small Griptilians with a 3.2-inch blade, whereas the full size is a bit bigger, coming in at over 3.7 inches. Now, this drop point profile of the blade is going to cover all your bases. You've got a flat grind for a good mix of strength and slicing, and a long swedge along the spine for efficiency. It removes a point of drag when you're moving through materials. And of course, you've got the goodness of that Axis lock. It's easily accessed from either side of the handle. Benchmade also pretty much always includes a reversible pocket clip too on their Axis models, which makes them great for left-hand options. This one is their deep carry clip, and it comes with a black oxide finish, so there's no paint to chip off over time. It's going to look great the more you use it. Now you can open this knife with the thumb studs and then close easily one-handed, and it has the inherent advantage of not needing to move your thumb across the path of the blade. It's a little bit of extra safety that you don't even have to think about. Plus, you've got the trick that everyone loves. You can pull that bar back and wrist flick the blade open or closed. Now for something lighter and easier to carry, we've got to talk about the Bugout. Now definitely made a name for itself because of the miniature weight, just 1.85 ounces, with a decidedly non-miniature blade length. The 3¼ inch length here is more than enough for most folks who don't need a large blade. They start about 127 right now, but mini versions with a sub 3-inch blade start at just 119. We've got S30V again on this blade, plus a profile that is all about slicing efficiency. The blade itself starts very thin with a nearly full flat grind. It means the blade stays out of the way as much as possible. It can just let the sharp edge do the cutting. We've got Grivery for the handles. A few different colors are available, and this one is actually from my personal EDC rotation. It's the KnifeCenter exclusive red battle wash with the satin blade. It actually has a slight stone washed texture to it. Now the Grivery is nice and lightweight, and it just disappears in the pocket. It really stays out of the way until you need it, and that's extra thanks to that small mini deep carry pocket clip that comes with a black oxide finish as well. But even despite all of those considerations for weight, I can still get a full 4-finger grip on this knife, which is pretty impressive. Now, making the weight reduction even further, they even use titanium for the Axis lock bar itself because it's definitely lighter than steel, but then they applied a DLC coating to it, so it's going to be durable as it locks up against the blade. Now, so far the Axis lock has done duty on a manual workhorse and a lightweight EDC. It can also do tactical stuff very well. So next on this list is the latest generation of the Bailout, which is actually an offshoot of the Bugout family. This 2020 reversion responded to some feedback from the original 3V Grivery versions that start just under 150 bucks, and they've updated it with aluminum handles and M4 blade steel for more strength, and it starts at just over 210. Now, I actually really like the choice of M4 here, because they've kept the blade stock nice and thin, so it's still going to be a good cutter just like the Bugout. But tactical uses may demand a bit more durability, so they've offset that by going with the M4, which is incredibly tough stuff. In my opinion, it's a really good compromise, and the Tanto shape on this knife still feels EDC friendly with some gentle curves and that high flat grind and swedge. Now, we've got a gray Cerakote finish to protect the blade because M4 is not stainless, but they've kept it smooth enough to avoid too much extra drag when you're cutting. Now, the aluminum for the handles is a great upgrade. It fills the hand a bit better, it's got a little bit of contour to it, and it feels rock solid in your grip. And then on the end, you've got some added utility in the form of the protruding aluminum pommel. Now, the original version just had this in the form of a wide bail, hence the name Bailout. These new versions bring the width of that hole down to almost half the length of the handle itself, but they add a glass breaker to make up for that. Now, the Axis lock is a very modern feeling knife, and hence it feels right at home at some of these real modern designs. But this lock can also cater to the traditionalists out there thanks to Benchmade's Hunt series of folders, and my favorites of those are the Crooked River knives. Doesn't get much more classic than this, just a glance and you can tell that's their riff on the famous folding hunter archetype. You can get it in two different sizes, and it does have S30V as standard. Full size offers a 4-inch blade for about 221 bucks, but the Mini is still plenty big with nearly 3.5 inches of steel and a price tag of $204. Got this classic clip point profile, long been a favorite of hunters out there, but it's also proven itself as an EDC staple as well. Now, the handle scales here are made from diamond wood, which is a stabilized material, so you're not gonna have to worry so much about warping or cracking as you would with something that was right off the tree. Now, you've got aluminum bolsters that house the Axis lock itself, and you get a nice pop of orange with the pivot ring, as well as that G10 backspacer. Now, for me personally, I think the Mini is definitely the one to get. It's still got plenty of reach, and I can still get a full grip on it, as you can see, despite having slightly larger than average hands. The full-size option, though, may be even better for hunting or heavier outdoor needs, because you've got even more room on the handle, especially if you're wearing work gloves, and that is definitely a nice consideration. Now, the Axis lock is versatile beyond just the manual opening knives we've seen so far. They've used it on both assisted openers through the years, as well as some automatics. So representing the rescue knives for this year, I've got the Triage automatic, which comes in about $263 right now, although you can get standard non-auto versions for less. You actually get two tools with the Triage. You've got the main blade here, which I'm going to fold up now. You've also got a rescue hook, and both of the blades are spring-loaded. You've got this switch on the back of the aluminum bedrock of the handle. Pull that back, and the rescue blade pops open from the spine. You've got 440C steel. It's pretty good jimping here for some thumb placement when you're using it. This will allow you to safely cut away straps or remove clothing from around an injury. You've also got at the back a carbide glass breaker built in. Now, the switch here does preclude a reversible pocket clip, unfortunately, so lefties definitely keep that in mind. Now, as for the main blade, you've got a spine-mounted safety here for some extra security. Pull that back and it's ready to fire. And one of the advantages of the Axis lock automatic compared to other kind of push button designs is that it maintains the fully ambidextrous nature of the Axis lock. You just pull back on the crossbar and the blade flies out. We've got about 3.6 inches of N680 steel for solid performance and a very high degree of corrosion resistance, which is especially important, I think, for first responders, and that coating helps that fact out even more. Now, there's a variety of different blade shapes available on the manual versions, but the automatic only gets this modified drop point. It's actually kind of a hunting type of profile in my mind. We've got some good belly here with a bit of a hump right behind the tip, so you can go in upside down and lift the tip up. That's certainly a feature that hunters like so they can avoid piercing gut when they're skinning, but it's just as important for rescue needs because you can get under things without piercing the skin of whoever you're trying to save. And then serrations are of course important for a lot of rescue personnel, so you can get this in the plain edge I've got here or partially serrated. But I think this blade reaches beyond just those specialized needs. It's still a great overall working shape for EDC as well. Of course, in addition to the Axis lock autos, Benchmade has a strong automatic game going across a range of different mechanisms, including a push button mechanism as well. So now we've got one of their all-time classics, perhaps the flagship of the Benchmade lineup, the 940 Osborne. And it was just updated this year with a push button automatic option, coming in at $238 right now. Now, manual versions of this knife can be had with either clip point or reverse tanto blades, and they prove that the axis makes a great gentleman's knife too. But so far, only the reverse tanto has made it to the push-button version. We've got 3.4 inches of S30V steel with either a black or satin finish, but the real star of the 940 series is the handle. We've got anodized aluminum for a good cross-section of strength and light weight without the added cost of titanium. We've got a green finish on this one, comes with a nice thin ridged purple backspacer just like the classic manual version. And the push button action is stellar. We've got a spine mounted safety again, and once disengaged, press the button and the results speak for themselves. And with a sculpted and good looking shape, this design has seen a number of great variants in the manual series as well. From the 940-1 with premium carbon fiber handles and S90V super steel, to the more workaday 940-2 with G10 and S30V, there's a lot of different versions of this knife for every occasion out there. Now we've got to show the auto that they're probably most famous for, the Benchmade Infidel. This OTF, or out the front design, features aluminum handles with a cover-mounted switch and a 4-inch double-edged blade. In typical Benchmade fashion though, you can also get the mini Infidel with a blade just over 3 inches, and there's fixed blade versions available too for that matter. Now you get your choice of black or a satin finish on the blade with D2 steel and black aluminum handles. Right now though, in 2020, the one to get is this blue-handled limited edition version. It features S30V steel with a black DLC coating for a more premium cutting experience. Plus, with that double-edged profile, you've got nearly 8 inches of sharpened edge to work with, which is plenty to get you through just about anything out there that I could think of. Now on the handles, you've got prominent ridges to provide grip, and the switch is very satisfying to operate, both when opening and closing the knife. It's a design that certainly makes an impression, but it's actually pretty discreet too, thanks to a nice deep carry pocket clip. Now it's not technically reversible, but that's because this whole design is a mirror image of itself, so it works just fine for both lefties or righties. Now with great materials and really good action, the Infidel is a knife that can give just about any auto out there a run for its money. Now of course, we've got to talk about butterfly knives or Balisongs. Now Benchmade might be most thought of these days for their axis lock knives, but they actually got their start making just Balisongs. They still make some highly sought after versions today, albeit they make up a smaller percentage of their lineup overall. Now there's plenty of highly premium options, but narrowing it down to just one and putting the 51 Morpho on this list, which comes in just under $300. Now why the Morpho, you ask? Well, because for one thing, I'm personally not really a flipper, and secondly, this is an incredibly EDC friendly design if you can carry a butterfly knife where you live, thanks to a light overall weight and a titanium pocket clip. I find it refreshing to see a Balisong that's actually made to be used as an actual knife, since the flipping capability often takes center stage with a lot of other manufacturers. Now the 51 Morpho is certainly good as a flipper, don't get me wrong, it's just that I love the dual nature of this knife. And a Balisong in general actually has some things inherent to their design that make them really great options for user knives. For one thing, they're not likely to close on your fingers since the blade doesn't even fold in that direction. You can also get a lot of handle to blade ratio. The 51 Morpho gives us nearly 4¼ inches of D2 steel, but it still folds up nice and easy for pocket carry. For the blade shape, we've got a nice utility spear point profile, and it's still got that nice crown spine, which is good not just for tricks, but also for comfort when you're choking up. Now the handles themselves are black G10 that have been drilled and milled to remove some weight, offer plenty of grip, and reveal what's underneath. Because right there, we've got the thing that sets this design apart, blue anodized and jeweled titanium liners for a very distinctive look. And finally at the back, we've got that one other feature we always appreciate about Benchmade's Balisongs, their spring-loaded latch. It's very satisfying to pull the knife out, squeeze to operate the latch, and flick the blade open. Now, I saved the best for last, or at least my favorites, because I am a fixed blade guy after all. Now Benchmade has some great tactical options in their lineup like the Nimravis, the Adamas, the SOCP Dagger, and more, but I'm actually going to share a few fixed designs that are great for those who are inclined to spend some time outdoors. Now these next two actually go together. It's the 200 Puukko and the 202 Leuku. Both of these were inspired by classic Finnish bushcraft knife patterns, and they're actually a pretty nice bargain too. The Puukko is just about $127, running up to about $140 for the Leuku. Now we've got full tang blades on both of these knives made from 3V steel, which is one of the best all-around outdoorsy knife steels in my opinion, because it's got a really great cross-section of very high toughness and edge retention. Now, there's certainly steels that are tougher and steels that can have a longer lasting edge, but few bring them together in a way that 3V does. Now they've gone with saber grinds on both of these knives, with the flat geometry going roughly halfway up the blade so that it keeps plenty of thickness at the spine for lateral strength. And it's about 0.14 of an inch thick, by the way, just a little bit over 1/8 of an inch. With a blade length of 3 3/4 of an inch, the Puukko's got a very controllable length to it. It's big enough to feel that you aren't exactly lacking, but it's still very nimble. Now at nearly 5 1/4 inches of reach, the Leuku offers even more confidence. It's got better length for bigger jobs like splitting wood. It's also got more belly too, which should make it a little bit better in skinning rolls, and they've even swept the grind a little higher out there, so you've got a more efficient cutting profile at the tip. While the Puukko has that narrower tip for the more delicate tasks like notching and fine carving that's going to be required by certain bushcraft and survival traps and that sort of thing. Now the handles on these knives are both identical, and to keep costs down, they use Santoprene, which is injection molded over the full tang. It's got a really nice and comfortable shape to it, and it's got tons of grip too thanks to the hard rubber texture. Plus, you don't actually have to touch the steel when you're gripping the knife. It keeps the knife warmer when the air outside gets colder. Now rounding both of these designs out, we've got leather sheaths with danglers with a nice snap on the back, as well as a fire steel loop, which is everything you want in your bushcraft sheath. Lastly, we've got what I think is the crown jewel of Benchmade's modern fixed blade lineup, the top end version of the Saddle Mountain Skinner, which sells for just over $210. This knife has some significant updates over previous generations of the Saddle Mountain series, all centered on increasing the outright performance. The materials are certainly impressive. We've got rich light handles, which is similar to paper micarta, creates a very silky feel in the hand, and with some swells in just the right places, it really locks into your grip. And then the steel itself is S90V, so you've got an absolute ton of edge retention. You've got just over 4 inches of length with a high flat grind, and some nice touches for more control as well, including some jimping out on front for your index finger, and a nice set of thumb scallops for a good pinch grip. Now they've ditched the recurve profile of previous generations, which makes this new one easier to sharpen and probably better for some wood carving stuff too. Now the most appreciated thing for me is they've gone with a thinner blade steel with this model. It's roughly 1/8 of an inch thick versus the roughly 5/32 of the old, which makes it a better slicer overall. Now this S90V version also gets the select edge treatment, and all that really means is they've sharpened each side at a 14-degree angle, which is steeper than typical for them, so you get an even sharper feel and you can really get the most out of that S90V material. Now it should be noted that the S30V with diamond wood handle versions are still available, and apart from the select edge, they get all the same updates as this model. Now this knife isn't quite perfect. I do have a few little niggles, but they are pretty easily remedied. Now the bolts-on sheath, while it does hold the knife nice and securely, doesn't actually come with any belt attachment hardware. It's a bit disappointing, but a standard Tech-Lock attachment will at least fit, and the diamond wood versions come with a leather sheath, so you're not going to have to worry about it with that version. Secondly, if this were my knife, I'd actually take some really fine sandpaper to some of the edges on the inside of the scales right here. I do get a little bit of a hot spot when I'm gripping things, but other than that, I can't really think of anything that would improve on a nearly perfect hunting knife. All right, that's it for my top 10 list of the best Benchmade knives you can get right now in 2020. Make sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and let me know if I left out your favorite as well. I'd love to know what you guys are liking right now too. Meantime, if you want to get your hands on any of these knives, we will leave links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. And make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program while you're there, because if you're going to buy one of these cool knives, you might as well earn some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center signing off. Thanks for sticking around, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. See you next time.